Hey, people, listen, happy Tuesday. Welcome in the building. I'm glad y'all decided to spend some time with the diva. Yes, the train is late, but the train is pulling out the building. So I'm glad that y'all hopping on the late train with the diva. It's Tuesday night, it's trending topics, and our title is Tears, Testimonies, and Tragedy. Tears, Testimonies, and Tragedies. Let me, you know what? I was contemplating on my approach tonight with these topics. You know, we can go back probably to before I was born, and this unfortunately is probably going to happen long after I'm gone. But I think it's so tragic and sad that this day and age we're still hearing about a domestic violence relationship, DV. It's sad. You know, just the other day we did a story and Lil Wayne kicked the girlfriend out on Mother's Day. And now she wants to tell us about how it was a violent situation. But yet she really wanted to still stay. If he never kicked her out, we would have never heard about so-called quote-unquote violence, and she would have stayed in that situation with her daughter from another relationship. We got to stop being sensitive and get real and have real talk, and we got to say why. No matter what it is that you're doing in life that is detrimental to your health, if you go to a doctor, you go to a psychiatrist, you talk to a therapist, they need to get down to the why. Why are you doing said thing? In order to help you reverse and stop it. You taking drugs, you a smoker, you a drinking, they got to get down to the why. So you got Halle Bailey. And she is coming out now saying, what's his name, DDG? He put his hands on her. Chipped one of her tooths. And now we get a better understanding as to why they was going through what they was going through, and he was not seeing the baby. When you just say you don't want to see the baby, it's like, you're like, why? He's the father. But now she has a restraining order, and there's more details to the story. He got a problem with putting his hands on her. Calling her out of her name. And we got to ask ourselves, ladies, why? She speaks out, and we're going to get into her story. Today, Cassie got on the stand and she testified. And my emotions are mixed. They're heavy. They're all over the place. She's been through a lot. She's seen a lot. She suffered a lot. Now, the issue is when it comes to this criminal case, you have to ask and wonder, how does all of this tie into what you're charging this man with? But I'm going to toss that to the side for 1.2 seconds and say my heart breaks for Cassie. Whatever role she did or did not play in this thing, what she talked about, what she went through, what she endured, I said, good gosh. Here we are in 2025, and we're still seeing females accepting and going through this. And I'm nobody's therapist, but I'm going to tell you that the core of this is not even caring about self-worth. And some other things play into why your self-worth is very low. But it starts there. I also thought about Diddy and said, how does one get to the point where he was at? How did he get there? And I thought back and listen, I don't know what is true versus not true because I am not these people and I did not live with them. I'm not in their lives. And I'm not proclaiming that anybody called me, gave me some side information. No, none of that. Diva, I don't have that. And they're not calling me and emailing me like that. But doing this Diddy case for so long, just being so intertwined in it, there was a ton of people that have said, well, matter of fact, one of Diddy's childhood friends claimed that his mother, it was not unusual for you to be in the house and walk in the room and people was getting it in. So imagine what his eyes have seen. Hold on one second, Patricia. Diva, I've been in that type of domestic violence situation. My shoulder was broken, black eyes. He did it for no reason, jealousy. I gave someone directions and it cost me. I made a plan and left. Patricia, Prince, thank you so much for sharing. I know it ain't easy. I know it's not. And that's why I try my very best, to the best of my ability, to approach this subject with the best amount of sensitivity that I can. For Patricia, well, thank you, though. Thank you so much for sharing. So I thought about Diddy, and I said, they keep saying he liked to watch. Like to watch what was going on. And I thought to myself, because as a kid, that's what he watched and that's what he saw. I can't express enough that being a parent is an amazing privilege. And nobody's perfect. And I ain't even going to sit here and tell you I've been the perfect parent. No, I'm not. No, I'm not about to do that because it'd be a whole lot. But we got to do the best we can with the resources and knowledge that we have at the time of us raising our kids. And whether you're rich or poor, there's some things you know is just right and wrong. When you're, and I'm not saying nothing's 100%, but in your house, if you got a whole bar and you're drinking every weekend or drinking every night, I'm not psychic, but I can almost probably guarantee and tell you this, your kids will probably be drinkers. If you smoking all the time in the house around the kids, you're smoking the weed, you're smoking the cigarettes, it's a high level possibility that your kids are going to be smokers. And don't tell me, Diva, that's not true. When y'all want to tell me that Diddy kids are the way that they are because they saw their dad do what he did. So Mama Combs did whatever she did or didn't do in that house with Diddy watching. And here he is today. I personally don't care who sleeps with who, how they sleep with who, whatever the case may be, as long as you got all consenting adults. His situation is tricky with Cassie because she admits to a lot, but at the same time, she wants to be seen as the victim. All I could say is when I heard her testimony, heartbroken. But I'm going to say this as lightly as I can. What was her parents doing? And what happened with the parents that at 19, you know what, guys, give me 1 second. I'm sorry, guys. That was the kid. I had to take the phone call real quick. I'm so sorry about that. But Diddy saw a lot. And here we are today. It's a lot, and we're going to talk about it. But it starts at home. It starts at home. And we're responsible as parents for the kid or offspring that we put out there in the world that other people have to interact with. We're going to talk about it. Then we got this Bronx horror where the mother took the life of her own 7-year-old. This happened, I think, 2 years ago, might have been, but she's just now getting sentenced, and she's a punk because she refused to come in court for her sentencing because she don't want to face the people that have something to say to her. This mother of the 7-year-old had the baby taken away from her. The baby was living with the grandmother. The DIFIS or whatever Child Protective Services allowed the mother to have a weekend with the kid that she was abusing. Listen, somebody has got to revamp this Child Protective Services system because it sucks. It sucks. How many stories have we done over here where the kid, a DIFIS case was open and now the kid is gone? This mother and the daughter's half brother punched and beat the 7-year-old. He's on the streets. I'm telling you, ladies, right now, if you single, watch who you date. Especially watch who you date. Even though I know this was the brother, I'm just telling you, watch who you date. Especially watch who you date if you got kids. Now, the best advice I could give the single mothers, and y'all probably going to pass all the way out, is stay single until your kids turn 18. That don't mean you can't see somebody and do some things. Catch what I'm saying. But don't bring nobody in your house with your kids because half the time they don't even like you. So if they don't like you, really, you think they're going to do well by your kids? You remember that story I did where the girl broke up with her boyfriend that was living with her, and when he left the apartment, as soon as he left, he sent videos to the kids. Videos of her doing stuff to the kids. No, you're not getting my kid's cell phone number. No, you're not living in this house with me and my kids. Matter of fact, I'm not quite sure you're going to get my address. I'll meet you on the outside. Stop playing with your kids and your kids' life. You bake that kid in you for 9 months and then you're going to let somebody come and mess around and play with your kids? Now, I'm going to say this lightly. Remember, y'all, I ain't saying I know nothing. These are diva thoughts. Will O.J. Simpson respectfully, his ex-wife that lost her life with the boyfriend, her family knew that O.J. had issues. That's all I'm saying. But O.J. was paying for businesses for the family. He sent family members through college. So they allowed the dollar bill to have blinders on their eyes to everything that was happening to their daughter, to their sister. And then eventually she lost her life. Cassie Ventura has parents. I'm going to move on. I need to get the people in the building because if I keep talking, y'all going to be like, Diva, okay. So listen, y'all know what I need. I need a what? Because I'm about to bring the people in the building. I need a choo-choo. All aboard, everybody. It is Tuesday night trending topics, and we got stuff to talk about. Tears, testimony, and tragedy. We got Halle Bailey. She's speaking out. Her baby daddy is putting hands on her, according to her. We got Cassie testifying. Cassie is good and pregnant. She due any second now. Forget about any day. Any second, Cassie is due. And she got to sit in court and relive her 10 years with Diddy. 10 years a slave, allegedly, according to her. Now, let me tell you something that's ironic. She signed a 10-year deal, and for 10 years, she lived like hell in that relationship. And I'm going to say this as respectfully as I can. Whitney Houston got a voice on her. Mariah Carey's voice is sick. I can name countless other celebrities that has a heck of a voice. And out the gate, they never, ever got out the gate a 10-year record deal. I'm going to say this to everybody out there. Keep your integrity over a job, over fame, over fortune, over money. All day long, you got to teach your kids and instill in them, I will stay in a studio apartment where I legit can pay the bill and turn the key before I turn my life over to shenanigans. Now, I got to shut up because I said I was going to bring the people in the building. This is the last thing I'm going to say. Halle Bailey. I keep, their names are so close together. Let me tell you something. The other day, she went to, and she's in her 50s. She went to one of these award shows or something, and she was naked underneath the dress. And I'm saying to myself, girl, this is where we at now. They made her change. Let me bring the people in the building because that ain't even one of the stories right now. Well, whatever, a 10-album deal as far in not 10 years, but how many people puts out 3-4 albums in 1 year? How many people do that? Whatever, y'all, I get what y'all saying. Thank you for the correction, but let's be clear. I have yet to know any artist, not even Michael Jackson, that was able to do 10 albums back to back or 3 to 4 albums in 1 year. It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen. So at best, even if it was a 10-album deal, what was she going to bust out? Because on one album, you have like 10 to 14 songs. How many of those she was going to bust out in 1 year? Little Rodney spent the whole year at Diddy's house doing the Love album. 1. And this is Diddy, who been doing music for decades. So Diddy played games with her. She accepted the game, and it was a game from the door. He purchased you respectfully the day he met you. Leo, welcome in the building. Hey, Felicia. Hey, Savannah. Hey, Wayne. Hey, Emma.
Hey, Diva.
Hey, Diva. Hey, Katrina. All right.
Hey, y'all, hit the like button for the Diva.
Sandra, the thing is, though, she could have wrote 2,000 songs. And I understand what she's saying. She was naive, right? 10 albums is a lifetime. Come on, Elite. You working with me. 10 albums is a lifetime. Look at what's her daughter name? Lauryn Hill made 1 album. Did she make 2? I really think she only made 1. But anywho, y'all get what I'm saying. Let's get into this, okay? Hey Leo, hey everybody, let me get into it. I don't talk too much already, but listen, it's supposed to be a express train. Let me get into this first story with Halle Bailey. This thing with the men, and Cardi B is still on one album. We got to talk here. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, with the that baby daddy putting their hands on her. I don't understand what's going on in the world today and why we're accepting this. Halle Bailey claims DDG abused, attacked her multiple times, and she gets a restraining order. Halle Bailey says she had enough of DDG allegedly abusing her. She's filed a police report, and now she wants court order protection from the father of her child, TMZ has learned. In docs filed Tuesday in LA, she claims Zane's first got physical in January. They broke up back in October. And Halle says DDG came over to pick up their son, Halo, and she tried to start a convo with the rapper about a child visitation schedule. She's showing pictures of her bruises on her arm. As we was buckling Halo into the car seat, she claims DDG grew agitated and repeatedly said, "Get out of my car," BITCH. Halle says the baby was crying and she got nervous about DDG leaving with him in such an agitated state. Then that's when they allegedly started wrestling, with DDG pulling her hair, slamming her face on his steering wheel, and chipping her tooth. Halle says she was in pain and crying, and although that stopped the fighting, she was still worried about Halo. So she remained in the car for the ride over to DDG's house, where she told his family what happened. That's her chip too. Once they told her to take care of the baby, she left hysterical and with bruises on her arms to go along with her chipped tooth. She attached photos of her alleged injuries in her request for a restraining order. She also alleges DDG creeped her out in March, where he showed up at her home, entered without permission, went to her bedroom, and texted a picture of Halle's empty bed to her along with a text. "Now I know what you've been on, LOL." Halle says she interpreted the text as DDG accusing her of having sex with other people. 4 days later, she claims he really exploded when he came back to her house. Halle told him she and the baby were sick and she didn't want Halo to leave home. And she claims that's when he got verbally abusive, smashed her Ring camera, and ran away with Halle's phone. As he drove off, she claims DDG threw the phone out the window and yelled to her, "Go get it, BITCH." The incident prompted Halle to go file a police report, and she says she also has Ring footage to back up her side of the story. It was also around that time DDG claimed on X he's been fighting to see Halo for months. For Halle, though, the final straw came just last weekend when she said she was vacationing with Halo and her sister in St. Lucia. She says DDG texted her links to social media posts claiming she was on the island with singer Brent. What is that? I don't know his last name. I'm going to mess it up. Halle replied, "Not with any man out here. I wouldn't do that. I have Halo. Please let me enjoy my Mother's Day in peace. I hope you're okay and feel better soon." The judge granted Halle a domestic violence restraining order requiring DDG to stay 100 yards away and gave her permission to take nearly 18-month-old Halo to Italy, where she'll be filming a movie for 2 months. DDG also has to stop posting or streaming about her and their child. Halle claims her ex has been whipping his fans into a frenzy by trashing her when he live streams. We reached out to DDG's camp, no word back yet. This is so sad and tragic. Leo, your thoughts?
She'll recover, and she's learned a very valuable lesson. I feel like I do give her grace because I remember that age. And unfortunately, when I was about 22, I didn't know anything about dating. Everything I learned about dating, I learned the hard way. Not this hard, not with a chipped tooth. So you don't know until you know. She never knew 2 years ago that she would be have a beautiful child, but have an emotionally immature child for a baby father. Because he crashing out simply because she's in Italy. She has court permission to take their child, to Italy. And all this crying on the internet is all capped simply because if you really cared about spending time with your son, you will go to court like all sane adults do and set up a court-ordered agreement to see your child. If she violates the order, then we go to court and we discuss it some more. That is what mature adults do. Not all this crying on the internet that she ain't gonna let me see my baby and all this other kind of carrying on. So she gonna be all right. I pray and I'm gonna speak into existence that she's going to now know that you can't be pairing up with these no good sorry bums. I know he a influencer and yeah, he had some people, but I ain't never know nothing about this boy until she got with him. So I'm gonna say that much. He wasn't all that important on the internet. So I mean, it's a cautionary tale. Her and her boy will be all right as soon as she can get away from this fool.
Felicia, your thoughts? Thank you, Lisa.
Well, good evening, everybody. Good evening. It's already exhausting, 2 days of this trial and everything else, but I want to give a beautiful shout out to that Halle. Girl, go ahead, girl. You go down to law enforcement, and that's the first step. Say, okay, game over. So I'm not going to get caught up into your emotional drama, all of your threats. You know, you're going to text me. I'm going to text you back. We're going to do this. Oh, I really love you and the baby. BS. No, just go down to law enforcement. You got your restraining order. You went to the judge. You got your okay to go ahead and travel out of the country with your child. What's going on in this country right now? Sometimes you don't know if you can get back in. So you got the baby with you. In case they tell you can't get back in, you're good. You got your child with you. I really love that she did that. So she's setting the boundaries and the parameters of what the next 20-something years is going to look like. Because all of this emotional manipulation and intimidation about who's the child's father and who he's not and where you at and what you're doing. You went in my home and you was in my space without my permission. Oh, you're dangerous. And I know probably a lot of people on this panel and people in chat go, oh, that Miss Felicia, she this. When they show you who they are, believe them the first time. I'm not home and you're going through my personal things. Or do we think he just went in there and took a picture? Oh, no. He went digging through, looking for stuff. Yep. And so he's letting her know you need to be afraid if you're not. You need to be cautious if you're not. And she's saying, we're not going to do this. So shout out to her, and I wish her the best going forward. I'm done.
Thank you. I'm coming to you, my opinion. Sandy Chance, thank you so much for the super chat. Kudos to Halle for going to the police. And you know what? I'm connecting with you and Felicia tonight with that. And the reason why I'm going to say that is because all of these other stories that we have heard, these civil lawsuits, whatever, we was like, who went to the cops? Who went to the police? A crime was committed. Why didn't y'all report it? So shout out to her for in real time, early on, saying I had enough, and she went to the police and she got her restraining order. So you know what? She is going to be all right. Shout out to her. She went to the police. We've been asking that for months for some of these other people, and she went. God bless. In my opinion, your thoughts, and she tried to give this man a chance. Because I remember we did the story here where he said he couldn't see the baby. And I ain't going to lie. Y'all know I'll tell you the truth when I got to tell you the truth. Because I like to put stuff in your face. I ain't going to lie. I fell into his trap. I said when we did that story, she need to let him see the baby. But now we know the truth. Praise God. She went to the cops. Go ahead, in my opinion. Your thoughts?
So I knew he was trash from the first time he did the story. And I know he's trash now. I'm glad she's listening to her sister. And I'm glad she went to the police. I'm glad she's having it documented Don't do a kiki and take him back. Okay. I pray that she moves on from him because this man lives in toxicity. He has his followers routed up, going to her page, trashing her.
Mm,
So not only is he physically and emotionally abusing her, he got his subscribers abusing her.
mm.
It's sad because women, we get the shortest end of the stick, but we have the most to bear. And so I'm glad she's taking some of her power back and saying, no, not today. And I pray that God gives her the strength to keep on moving on and he gets this demon out of her life for good. That's all.
Listen, people, shout out to the Ring camera. Get you one. They're not that expensive. And I don't care where you live. You could live in an apartment. You could live in a studio. You could live in a house. You could get yourself a Ring camera. Yes, you can. Wayne, your thoughts?
I was going to say, now this is how you handle business.
Come
And you
on.
can tell she about business because she knew if this gets in, like all over social media and just really, really out, this is going to mess up her bag. She's on her way to a filming. And I'm quite sure her employers don't want to hear all this. And she nipped it in the bud. Called the police, got her child, got authorization, and gone, and didn't look back. And this is the way you handle it. I'm done.
Thank you. Savannah, your thoughts?
All I was thinking about during this story, Diva, was Kiki, are you paying attention? This is how you protect your child. This is how you protect your mental health. I'm so glad that Holly is finally stepping into her womanhood because this was the Disney darling. These girls were supposed to are the next biggest thing. And this detour that she had by getting into this relationship with this um, young man who I never knew who he was or what he does or, you know, what his purpose is, but I just knew that he was always dimming her shine. And I'm proud of her for controlling the narrative, controlling her story, and gaining back her power. So I hope her village continues to surround her, protect her, and love her, and strengthen her. And I hope she ends up being an example for young ladies who are facing this, being in these toxic, abusive relationships, whether it can be with a UPS worker or a player on the Knicks team. No one deserves to be beaten, and you should always take control of your power. So kudos to her. I'm proud of her for taking care of herself and protecting her baby.
Amen. Yes. Julius, your thoughts?
I hope she continues to rely on her village to keep her focused and to keep her on the path that she's on now and out of this dude's war path because she doesn't deserve it.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't deserve it.
Thank you. Katrina, your thoughts?
He's a clown. He always been a clown. He was riding her coattail to get fame. People tried to warn Chloe, but love is love. Maybe she thought she was in love or whatsoever. But as we said, she started a paper trail, and that's the best thing that she could do. She went to the courts and got what she needed to have done, and got away. And not got away with it, but got everything that she needed to have so she can be with her child. And this clown that wanted to see the baby while the baby was sick, or well, I think Chloe was sick. Or anyway, I think that baby had an RSV or something like that. But he was trying to get the baby. That she won't let me see my baby. She won't let me see my child. If the child is sick or the mom is sick, why would you even want to go around when she's sitting up and telling you? Like I said, he's a clown. He's looking for attention. He's always tried to ride her coattail. But luckily, she used her head and did what she had to do, and I'm proud of her. And that's all I got.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Well, you know what? She did the best thing. The thing is she got the cops involved. She got a restraining order. And so now he got to shut up. And, you know, it's just sad. Like when you are slamming the mother of your child or any female head against the steering wheel to the point where her tooth chips, her arm is bruised up like that. This is just tragic and sad. I'm going to go ahead and roll into the next story. The next story I'm going to do, this happened about 2 or 3 years ago, but the mother is just now being sentenced, and the family was upset because she had the nerve to not want to come into the courtroom to face them doing their victims' impact statements. Let me go ahead and share screen. First, I'm going to remind you of the story of what happened to this 7-year-old, and then I'll bring you to the current up to date. So hold on one second.
The tragic death of a 7-year-old girl in the Bronx. Now the child's grandmother is speaking out and demanding answers. CBS's Corey James reports from Mont Haven, where he spoke exclusively to the grandmother.
The mother explained that the child hit her head on the table.
Do you believe that?
No.
The grandmother of this 7-year-old little girl is living her worst nightmare. Tuesday morning, police say they found Jalecia Baptiste unconscious inside an apartment on Alexander Avenue in the Bronx. A police Yolanda Davis tells us her granddaughter, who she has raised since birth, went last April for a court-ordered weekend visit with her mom.
The weekend became 90 days. 90 days became, you have to do an independent review.
Davis says she repeatedly went to ACS and SCO Family of Services to get her granddaughter back, not knowing why she was being allowed to stay with a woman she tells us abused the young child.
At the age of 4 years old, the date was April 13, 2018. And what my granddaughter said was, Mom hit me with a hammer.
The NYPD would not give specific information surrounding the young child's death, but one neighbor who did not want to be identified says she made calls to child services multiple times.
I would hear screaming. They came, they spoke to them. I seen her with a black eye on like Thursday or something like that. So that's why I called ACS, because she told me her mother did that to her eye.
5 days later, this bright-eyed little girl was dead. Loved ones and neighbors created a memorial for Jalecia in the lobby of the building and in front of the apartment she was in, a home this grandmother says her granddaughter should have never been allowed to stay.
ACS and SCO services has failed me. I was trying to keep this from happening.
And now she is facing what she feared. In the Mont Haven section of the Bronx, Corey James, CBS 2 News.
Let me bring you up to date. Hold on one second. So coward mom who beat daughter Jalecia Baptiste 7 to death refuses to come to court to learn her punishment. Let me just go ahead and make this bigger. We'll just see her.
Anything that you want to say? Anything that you want to say?
Why'd you beat her to death?
What do you have against your daughter?
Why'd you beat her to death? But what happened?
So the coward Bronx mom who admitted she beat her helpless 7-year-old daughter to death refused to show her face. Let me just pause this. Refused to show her face in court Tuesday, twisting the knife for the tragic girl Ken, who waited far too long for justice. Navicia Jones, 35, weaseled her way out of coming face-to-face with little Jalecia Baptiste's father and grandmother, who was set to deliver blistering victim impact statements in Bronx Supreme Court ahead of getting slapped with a 15-year sentence by complaining that press was present in the courtroom. She's running away from what I have to say, Julius Baptiste said. She's scared to face her daughter's father, after what she did. She needs to be dragged out and hear what we have to say. This is her own little mind game of work in the system, he added. That's the little girl. That's the mother. Jones pleaded guilty to manslaughter charges for beating Jaleesa to death in her squalid Bronx apartment, with the little girl's battered body found on August 10th, 2021. She's playing the system, grieving grandmother LaLonda Davis said Tuesday after the botched proceedings. She says she's overwhelmed. What about my granddaughter? She's overwhelmed. How can you say that when you beat up my granddaughter and killed her? I want to hear what I want her to hear what I have to say, and the bad impact that this has had on my family members on my family and members of the community. Neighbors, Davis continued. She showed no remorse, none. Bronx Judge Joseph McCormick on Tuesday said Jones, who previously refused to come to court, would be forced to appear in person for sentencing on June the 16th. I was just informed that your client has refused to come upstairs, that she indicated that she's aware of press or something of that nature was present, McCormick told the defense lawyer, Edward Sapone. McCormick refused to proceed with the sentencing with Jones' absence. The City Administration for Children's Services had investigated the family and taken Jaleesa away from Jones at birth, but had later returned the girl to her mom's custody. In heartbreaking audio recording obtained by the Post before her death, the youngsters heard hysterically sobbing and begging to remain with her grandmother during a weekend visit. Jaleesa's half-brother, Paul Fine Jr., was also charged in her death, telling cops that he punched his sister 8 times in the face. In March, he was cut loose and allowed to go free, while Jones copped to manslaughter. Davis and Julius are begging for closure in this disturbing case that underscored failure after failure by ACS, the city agency tasked with protecting children like Jaleesa. We need closure so the baby can rest in peace, Davis said. We're not going to forget her. It's so sad. I'm angry, very angry. I just want her to rest. I can't do this too much more. They should sue ACS. Leo, your thoughts?
My heart is breaking. I'm gonna tell you that. My heart is broken. This is so sad to me. Ooh, this is so sad to me. My heart goes out to that grandmother. Because what can you do when you try, right? It's not like the neighbors knew. Everybody knew. The system already knew. I don't even understand how she was even able to get her back. What was the issue with that? I really don't understand. I don't understand. I don't understand. Hopefully somebody can give me some more information. I mean, obviously the woman is unwell. This is the saddest thing. And what did the Child Protective Services say about this particular case? Have they said anything?
I couldn't find anything that they spoke on it. But usually they don't. Usually there's so many tragic cases like this, and usually you don't hear a word from them. I don't understand how this is crazy. It's insane.
That's all I got, Diva. I'm speechless.
I got you. Thank you. Felicia, your thoughts?
No words. No words. This child was tortured. Tortured and brutalized. Her brother punched her in her face 8 times in a row. That little girl, tortured all day, all night in that hell. What I didn't understand in the beginning was that that's the mother of the father. And often grandparents in this city are not given their due respect. When you are the mother of the father, you're given less. I recall a story that you did with the little boy who was taken to the supermarket with no clothes on in the winter.
He ran there.
And the mother told us it was all going to be okay because her aunt was part of the social service system.
Oh, that one. Okay, yes.
And I'm thinking that this mother has a friend or a relative in the social service system why she was able to get the daughter back. Because she probably needed an income and a reason to have housing when she was subsidized. And so she pleaded her case, and they just probably buried the paperwork. The grandmother's tears were real. Her hurt is real. But she did the best she could, and I believe her. I believe her. There's a lot to be said for having children that you don't want. I personally would rather you take the day after pill, the day before pill, do what you got to do. I'd rather you do it to you, to a child. I'm just heartbroken. I'm done.
Whew, thank you, Felicia. Julius, your thoughts?
My heart breaks for this grandmother. That grandmother shared a cry that I've seen too many times. A mother's grieving for their child. My heart breaks for her. Now, on to the ragamuffin hot mess. You were so big and bad to do what you did. You're big and bad to hear those impact statements. Oh. But when you have, see, this is the thing. They're not big and bad when they hear their consequences coming, but they're big and bad doing the act. Nah, miss me with that.
Thank you, Julius. In my opinion, your thoughts?
Oh, this is so heartbreaking. Oh, I think all of us that have had kids, this probably hit us a little harder. Because we know the struggles. But this lady, she wasn't struggling. This baby was safe with his grandma. She took it upon herself to get a weekend visitation, and then kept the kid only to unalive her. I just don't understand how these people are bred. Like, how do you come in the world and you have so much hatred in your heart that you would take your own? It's sad. Forget the impact statement. They need to put this lady up under the jail. Okay, I'm praying somebody in that prison give her some prison justice. And I ain't a big fan of the violence, but if there was ever somebody that needed to get some violence against them, it would be her.
Savannah, your thoughts? Thank you, in my opinion.
Oh, this is a rough night. This is one government department that I fully support 47 going in and gutting this whole department. We're only in May, and I can easily recall well over 15, 20 stories of mothers unaliving their own offspring this year alone, Diva. And some we have done here. Um, their justice will be handled in the prison system. I completely believe in that. Um, no one was there to protect this baby. This baby had no one. Unfortunately, the grandmother, because of bureaucratic red tape and dealing with demons, that had her grandchild. She couldn't get in to save her, so that's unfortunate. I think that we all need to start looking at ourselves as well, because we're failing our babies. I'm so sick of these stories, and I'm an avid watcher of Law and Crime channel, and I've seen these stories, and they just get worse and worse, and the babies get younger and younger, and it doesn't seem like this is, America, where the richest country in the world, where we have so many resources. It's just heartbreaking. And I hope she has no more children living in this condition. I didn't hear that in the story. So may this angel finally be resting in peace.
Yeah. So sad, because she was being loved by her grandmother. And the grandmother had no choice but to allow her to go for this weekend. You hit your daughter with a hammer. The neighbor saw the little girl with black eyes. The grown, sick son punched his sister. Katrina, your thoughts?
The greatest trick the devil did was made people think he didn't exist, and he doesn't sit down there by himself. He has his own angels. I don't understand why the brother hasn't been arrested. He should be arrested as well, because he abused that child. So he should be arrested as well, especially by her being at that age. And regardless of the fact if she wasn't the age, you still don't hit no little girl or woman in their face with no fists, no 8 times. He should have been arrested right along with his mama. And with the mama, she shouldn't even got no due process. I mean, I know everybody say teens got to go through due process and whatsoever, but cases like this, I don't see it. You don't mess with children. You don't do that, because I would be windmilling right now if that was my child. I would still be up there fighting. You don't play with my kids. That's the one thing that I think I did right, and there's no way I'm gonna let somebody come in and do something to them. This is sad on so many levels, and you scared to go face the consequences. You don't want to talk about what happened. If you knew you could support this child, you didn't want this child, you should have let it stay with the grandmother. Because an unwanted pregnancy is an unwanted child. And for her to be in court saying that she don't want to go in because she don't want to hear what the people had to say, well, you're going to hear what a lot of people got to say, because they do not like child abusers, M's, or anything in prison. So I hope they don't put her in no solitary confinement. She need to be put in the population so she can get her just due. That's all I got.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm going to roll right into the last story. And the last story is Cassie took the stand today. A lot happened. A lot of it was rapid. I'm going to give the highlights. Hold on one second and we'll talk about it. So Diddy trial highlights. Cassie testifies as star witness, sex, drugs, and urine. I'm not going to get into Nancy Grace. She gets on my nerves sometimes. Another big day is in the books for Diddy's sex trafficking trial. And today was all about Cassie Ventura's testimony as a prosecution's star witness. Cassie took the stand to testify about freak-offs, Diddy's violent temper, his affection for baby oil, and how he made her feel objectified by men, namely by urinating in her mouth. So much she started choking. The singer lawyer Douglas Wigdor applauded Cassie for sharing her story when a photographer got him outside the courthouse. He told us she's likely to be on the stand all day Wednesday, answering questions from prosecutors and being cross-examined by Diddy's legal team. Cassie talked about her first freak-off with Diddy and a male escort and got emotional during her testimony, telling the jury the freak-offs felt like a job. She said she told Diddy she didn't want to participate, but went along with it because she didn't want to upset him or make him angry. She also told the jury about physical abuse she suffered at Diddy's hand and about the time he beat her up in the hallway of the Los Angeles hotel when she left her freak off before it was supposed to be over, an incident that was caught on camera. Diddy stared at Cassie as she entered the courtroom Tuesday morning, but she never looked his way. and he watched the jury as she shared her testimony. Cassie's husband, Alice Fine, was in the gallery to support her. He's charged with 5 federal counts, 2 charges of sex trafficking, 2 charges of transportation to engage in prostitution, and a single count of racketeering conspiracy. Diddy's pled guilty, and his legal team says he's a swinger and not a criminal, and that free calls with Cassie were consensual. She also talked about how she wrote a letter to Diddy, an email to Diddy, pretty much asking him like to please stop the freak offs. I just want to be with you. She also said that she loved Diddy and, you know, she just wanted to please him.
Also, Cassie's not just a girl, a pregnant woman. She's a wife. She's now a mother. I think this is her 3rd child with her husband. She's a family woman now. So I think it's going to be a harder sell for the defense to sell her as this freewheeling, super promiscuous, in the life lifestyle, goes for any and everything type of with the baby oil and swingers of it all when she's coming in as a married woman, very pregnant, you know, in the family way,
you know
as they used to say.
She's right. Hey, Garagos, don't you think that's a very difficult cross-examination? Mark Garagos, when you have a pregnant lady, a mom, up on the stand, I mean, you know, how cruel can you be? You can't really, shred her on the stand. A pregnant lady, you got to be really careful how you cross-examine certain witnesses, or the jury will turn on you. If they perceive you as a bullying someone, that's not going to go down very well at all. They got to be really careful cross-examining.
They have threesomes on Wisteria Lane, guys. They have threesomes on Wisteria Lane, and we don't know what some of these jurors said when they whispered their embarrassing answers.
Okay,
Mark,
everywhere. Mark, you got to answer Nancy because it's true.
I was going to say, Nancy, I think, will admit that there are various ways to cross-examine a witness. Mind you, if it's true that their witnesses, their star witnesses, are ex-girlfriends, presumably long-term ex-girlfriends, there are going to be good times
ex-girlfriend can't be raped. Okay.
Nobody, did I say that? And I don't
like the way you and Levin keep slinging that around. They're all ex-girlfriends like that makes them, they can't be raped.
No,
Nancy, that's not an opinion.
Nancy,
that's the connection.
If they are ex-girlfriends, presumably there were feelings and there were mutual feelings. If that's the case and you're doing a cross-examination, I would imagine
mutual feelings, my rear end. Combs didn't care about these women. They were pawns. Look, according to the state and according to witnesses, Sean Combs would sit there and watch his phone and masturbate while he had his lighting director get the right angle on these women who were drugged so they could be raped on video. Okay? They call it euphemistically a freak off.
So I'm going to ask you one more time. If you want me to answer the question that it originally was before you went on the polemic, the question is, how do you handle a witness like that? If it's an ex-girlfriend, if it's somebody who was at one time in love with him, then there is a different approach. You're not going to beat somebody over the head.
Answer. You keep talking, but you never get to the answer.
The answer is you're going to take a different approach. I just said you're not going to beat somebody over the head like that, especially if somebody is about to give birth. I mean, that's the last thing you're going to do. Why would you antagonize somebody who is a crucial witness when you've got jurors who are, I just was discussing with Harvey, they're watching every single thing you're doing in a courtroom. Jurors are focused on the witness, they're focused on the lawyers. No lawyer is going to antagonize a witness, especially an important witness, just to make some kind of perceived.
I hope you're right.
Oh, Nancy is too much, but you know, that's that. This is Douglas Whittor, that is Cassie's lawyer. I had it queued up. We'll just queue it up and take a quick listen again once it comes through. We skip these particular ads here. I will say this, her testimony was definitely polarizing. A lot was said. She talked about how she loved Diddy. She did talk about being jealous. And she talked about, you know, what she had to do at the freak offs and know She said yes to them, but she said yes to please Diddy. Let's take a look.
How's Cassie doing after it all? How is she feeling? I know it must have been a lot to kind of recount all the experiences.
It was a long day. I'm just super proud of her.
Right. So how many more days can we see her?
I anticipate another half day of direct and probably another half day or so of cross-examination.
What do you think? Sorry, I'm coming across. Do you think it could be kind of
again, it's not for me to decide how she did. It's up to the jury to decide. But we're very confident.
Gonna put it out there. Some people were saying that it could be hurting, damning to Cassie to kind of admit that she didn't mind the freakos, but just not all the time. Where are you at with that?
I'm going to leave that to the capable hands of the government and ultimately to the jury.
Is Cassie in therapy? I could imagine she might need to have some kind of someone to talk to outside of this. I know that's kind of a personal question, but people are saying that she might need something else after, going through everything that happened in the past again.
I'm not following your question, sorry.
Will she consider therapy? Is that something that she could?
She has been in therapy. I think she'll testify about that tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
She's going to testify about the therapy tomorrow. They said that they showed the a video of more than
Watch yourself in the front.
That's her husband.
How is Cassie doing, sir?
Very stone face.
That man, what he doing? We're getting a shot.
All right, so that's the husband. Like I said, there was a lot to her testimony. I'll go around and Leo, your thoughts?
Yeah, I did get a little bit more insight into their relationship as far as how she got herself hooked up into this. From everything that I can gather, they're trying to present the prosecution is presenting a case of she herself was also being trafficked within this relationship. I understand that on the surface they were boyfriend and girlfriend, but through this testimony I see that she was being trafficked. It wasn't, because what I noticed was the workers could come and go. They could barely even keep up with 2 and 3 and 4 day freak offs, but she couldn't leave. And then when her testimony was that she loved him, she did not like him. She did not know him. But what he did is that he love bombed her. Then he isolated her. And within 6 months, he was beating her. And at 22, and he's powerful, and she's isolated, and he's putting her down. I've already conceded if you don't even know who you are at 22. So I'm quite sure she was totally broken. And I do mean broken into pieces by the time this man was done with her. And could she have left sooner? Yes, absolutely. But we all stay in relationships. Well, I can only speak for me. I've stayed in relationships a tick too long. It took her 10 years. And I also wonder about this. From everything I get from her testimony, she still acts like a reluctant witness. So you still got to understand too that she's carrying a lot of shame. And that's how come I really believe that she would not have done this. She's still being puppeted by other people. I'ma say that. Everything ain't always what it looked like. She is still being manipulated by people.
I caught what you said, and I feel the same way, and that's all I'll say to that. I do feel that way 100%. And yeah, there's a lot of shame in this. Because she felt shame when she was doing it, but she did it because she loved them, according to Cassie. Felicia, your thoughts?
Well, very interesting. So I had an opportunity to listen today. And every time I'm going to discuss this on a public platform, I'm going to remind the people that we're still waiting for the minors. We're still waiting. There was no mention of a minor in today's testimony, in the questions. So let's talk about Miss Ventura. I listened to what she said today. And I'm wondering where all this love came from. I don't know if it was the love of the condos, the pocketbooks, the cars, the trips, the travel. 10 years is a long time. It's a long time. I think about her friend Carrie that took the hanger to the head. Yes, I do. When she said, no, you don't deserve this. And she went to intervene on behalf of her friend who was getting pummeled by her boyfriend, sex trafficker. That's what we want to call him, abuser. And she turned on her friend and began to beat her friend in the head. Yeah. I heard that she said she couldn't get away. Well, but she had her own place to live. She had several places to live. And one, she independently paid her own rent and had her own things, but she gave him the keys, access to her home, and she was always available. So I don't know what's true here. I know they're playing into people's emotions. I'm waiting for the facts. And I heard Ms. Ventura say today that she was deeply in love with this man that so many have called a monster. And he was deemed a monster by some long before she met him, because those of us up here in New York remember those young people who were stampeded to death during the holiday season. We're still looking for justice. We're still angry by how Mr. Combs treated those families. But, you know, he was the guy then. So when you speak out or you speak up and say, this isn't fair, this isn't righteous. Oh, no, he's making that money. What did they say? He's from money-making Mount Vernon. Yeah. And you're just jealous. All y'all just hating on his success. Yeah. So I heard her today, and I heard about her deep love, and I heard about how she was very much involved in these transactions. And I think about all the people that came to see her, to engage with her. 23, 25, 21. I think some of you know I have sons. I have daughters. What about my children? What if those were my kids that she was encouraging and paying to come in and be part of her love life with Mr. Combs? How would I feel? I firmly believe that Miss Ventura is up there because they were going to charge her with RICO and sex trafficking. Yeah, and prostitution. Yes, I do. And a long time ago, Katrina said something up on this panel that I didn't forget. She said if Cassie had gotten that money before the suit had to be filed, we wouldn't have heard any of this. And I agree. Whether he forced her to do it or not, we wouldn't have heard about it, because she was negotiating for months for this deal. Months for this deal. I think about all of her quote unquote friends that she introduced to the substances, to that life, because she was carrying the bags, she had the cars, she was traveling, it was all great. And as we know, it's always good until it ain't good no more. So it took her 10 years to get to the place where it ain't good no more, and where's my money? And when he wasn't coming through with the money, and those of us who have been here now with Diva, that window was closing for real, real. She had like 18 hours left to drop that suit. And they dropped it on a Friday about 5 o'clock so she could make the deadline. And by Sunday, she was paid her money. I'm going to continue to wait for the facts. But personally, I don't give a damn if she was loving him or not. I don't care. She said she didn't want to make him angry. Oh no. Unacceptable. Unacceptable. The things that were done to her were terrible. The things she agreed to have done to her. Egregious. But you're asking 12 people to make a decision on the life of another human being that you never even put a police complaint in about.
Woo! Oh my God.
So let's get emotion out and let's go on with the facts. So the facts of this case is RICO. That's the big one. We haven't heard anything yet. Maybe we'll hear tomorrow about the money laundering, about the transportation of the substances, how that come to be. But how Mr. Combs and Miss Ventura engage in their private pleasures is not my business. And for 2 days now, it's been all littered on these streets. Everyone has been exposed to things they have never even known existed, at least for me. She thought that was love, and she was in love, and I believe she's still in love with him.
Oh, good God.
I'm done.
Woo! Well, let me add this to the conversation. They officially broke up in 2018. Kim Porter passed in 2018. She married her husband in 2019. In December of 2018, she went official with her husband. I will say this. When Kim Porter passed away, he said that Kim Porter was the love of his life. Cassie herself, so don't come for me. These are Cassie words. Cassie herself said she was extremely jealous. Extremely jealous. I believe that when Cassie heard him say, she always knew how he felt about Kim Porter, according to the words that came out of his mouth. But when Kim Porter passed away, Cassie was allegedly no longer with Diddy. But she flew down to where Diddy was and made sure Diddy was okay with the passing of Kim Porter. And when he came out his mouth and said that that was the love of his life, she lost it. And that's when she knew, after all she did for him, all the freak-offs, everything she endured, the dark times, it meant nothing because she still wasn't the one Kim Porter was. For some people, I'm not saying all, the people that have their children will always hold a certain space in their heart. I will say this, that Christian King Combs is a spitting image of his daddy. I'm going to stop there because I was going to say more, but I'm going to leave it there. Katrina, your thoughts?
Felicia have said it all. I mean, we've been going round and round in a circle with all this. It was horrific. she participated, and yeah, she probably do love him. Maybe, I mean, I guess you would have to do all the stuff that you did for him. And yes, you was getting rewarded with the cars, the bags, the shoes, the money, or whatsoever. But look how you lost your life. Not lost your life, but look how you lost your soul, basically. Because that's what you did. You sold your soul. Because this man had you doing all types of stuff that was very sadistic. And it's sick. He's a sick puppy. And the stuff that he was doing is sick. And it's just ridiculous. And it's just ridiculous. And then to have people in the courtroom seeing and hearing exactly what you did, girl, ain't no money worth that. I'm sorry. You put yourself through all that, and yeah, you were looking for the payday because of all the war down and the tearing that he did to your body. So yeah, you were looking for your reward. But both of them some sick puppies. I'm sorry, but that's all I got to do.
Appreciate you. I will add this. She said some of the freak offs, the longest freak off in her memory, lasted up to 4 days. She says she cannot remember how many freak offs it was because they happen every week and usually 4 to 5 days out of the week. And that's why she said it became like a job. Julius, your thoughts?
From her testimony, I gather she seemed like she was forced, and that if she didn't partake in the freak offs, there would be consequences. And her testimony kind of confirmed that from what I'm reading. But I'm gonna withhold from giving firm judgment because I want to see what else comes out about her testimony.
Thank you, Julius. My screen shifted a little bit. In my opinion, did you go?
No.
Okay.
I'm of two minds, okay? Y'all know I've been on Cassie for a minute. I sat there and listened to that testimony today, and I'm on a whole nother side. And I want to take this minute to say, when I heard the stories, it was so egregious that I started crying. And then I was thinking, who in their right mind will sit here and take this? And then I thought about the people that I've seen that stay in stuff way too long and they lose their self in what they call love. What she was calling love was not love. Let's be clear. She didn't love this man. Okay? She didn't even know what love was. She was pretty much a kid herself. I think if we all thought back to when we was in our 19s and 20s, we all did some stupid stuff that we wish we hadn't done. You know what I'm saying? But I think for this man to be a grown man, to have the lifestyle he had, to dangle all this over her. Yeah, of course she thought this was love. He buying her houses and cars and he taking home trips and stuff. Yes, of course she thought that was what love was. Love ain't in the things because anybody can get possessions. So possessions is not love. In some sense, I felt like he groomed her to feel like this is what love is. If you listen to what they were saying, it was like she was trying to do anything she could to please him. She said, I didn't want to do it, but I did it. That sounds like a people pleaser, somebody that was willing to do anything to please this person. She wanted him to love her. I felt like it was bad. I really did. I felt like my heart broke for her. The 21, 22-year-old and her didn't even know she was being mistreated. her self-worth was already gone. She had to forget about herself. She sacrificed herself for this man. And at the end, what she got? She got nothing. So while I still feel like she agreed to a lot of this, I feel like she ain't know. She ain't know. So I just think it's a sad situation, but I'm gonna keep on listening.
Whew. Savannah, did you go?
No, ma'am, I haven't.
Okay.
I am riding with, in my opinion, tonight. As a mother of a female, a young daughter, and then spending my 20s in South Miami, and I used to see these young girls lining outside the clubs where Puffy was. Him and his entourage were throwing their parties and their events, and I would see all these young girls line up. And all those thoughts came in today hearing Cassie's testimony. And I agree, it was heartbreaking. And this was a child when she got with him. She was, although considered a legal adult, but she was only 19. And I can remember seeing young girls, even as young as 15, lining up outside of these clubs. And it wasn't just Puffy, it was Trick Daddy. It was, I've seen R. Kelly, Jamie Foxx. I've seen them out there. And it brought these things back. I like, in my opinion, it's like, who would, why would these young girls put themselves in such a position? And I think it was, what we're seeing here is two addicts, and for different reasons. I think Cassie, I do believe she wasn't in love. I don't think she knew what love was. I think what she was addicted more to was the power, because we all can agree that Sean Combs was a very powerful man. He had a lot of people on his payroll, whether it was law enforcement, politicians, other musicians. There was nothing he couldn't ask anyone to do that they wouldn't do for him, because everyone had a price. So it was that power and his need to control her, to make her weak, to instill fear in her and make her feel unloved and even unwanted at times. Because I can recall when Cassie was on his arm, I used to see the bruises, and when he made her shave her head and things like that. I recall those incidents. So my heart broke for her today. I want to hear from her husband, because before he became her husband, he was Diddy's trainer. And so I believe this man also has stories. And I want to hear more names and more people. I'm ready, because there should be a whole busload of people lining up to be charged. Because although she endured a decade of horrendous conditions, there's so many more victims. And I'm ready to hear more names and get this story moving, because this is it is gut-wrenching. And knowing that she's also 8.5 months pregnant, I also worry for the stress that it will be causing her pregnancy. So I felt my heart went out to Cassie today. Not saying she's innocent in any of the stories, but having to go through that and being silent and no one helping you, that's very scary. So I just don't know how much more worse the story can get.
Thank you, Savannah. So DKW, she's a victim no matter how long she stayed. If she was jealous, which has nothing to do with anything, she's a victim. This case should be easy for the feds. DKW, I'm saying this respectfully. How can it be easy? They're showing us so far domestic violence, but he's on trial for sex trafficking, RICO charges. When are they going to get to that? And you got to remember with RICO, it's an enterprise. Why is no one else being charged? And I'm saying that respectfully. If he was on trial for beating down people in domestic violence, I say it would be a slam dunk. Probably a slam dunk. I want to say this, right? And again, because when we have these conversations, you know, I'm hoping that we're open-minded when we have these conversations. You know, it's interesting to me, we see right before our eyes Kanye West and Bianca Censori. If Bianca comes out later saying she was sex trafficked and everything else, what are we going to do with that story? And what do we do with Kanye West? I'm just checking. This is just questions I'm asking. Because out before our eyes in the open, when she was at the Grammys on the red carpet, they said that, now this was just interpreters reading lips, that she said she was scared. She didn't want to do it. Kanye West said, I got your back. I'm just putting this question out there. At what point do we cannot take responsibility for changing a wrong in our life, and we could just claim victim for 10, 15, 20 years. In 2018, somehow, some way, she got the lead with Alex Fine. If I was the feds, and don't get low on me, Diddy, Diva, you just want Diddy to be free, because I be giving tips to the prosecution and the defense here on my channel when we have these stories. But if I was the defense, I would be asking, how come you was able to leave in 2018, but you was never able to leave any other time before that? When did the change come? What difference happened? Did he stop being violent in 2018? Did he stop tracking you down? There's a lot of holes in the story. And we gotta understand and be open-minded. I'm very sensitive to what she went through. Listen, her testimony touched me today too. But I gotta stay focused. And as I listened, I was like, there's some holes in this story. Increase matters. All I can say is we might be on the same train in the same car tonight. I said over here before, Cassie was getting money way before this. Everybody's focused on, you know, why he didn't settle, why did he allow this to come out? It's because they've been playing this game for a long time with this money. They've been playing the game for a long time. And just like before, when he gave her a little check and she went away, he thought this time would be no different because she'd been threatening XYZ. Remember the laptop in the videos that she claimed he was always using and held against her. She somehow had him on the laptop. You got to pay attention to the details. And when you're looking at these things, you got to put emotions aside. Cassie gave the laptops to the feds. But she said he was using those to hold it over her head. I just got a question. How did she get away in 2018? And for somebody, and I'm going to let you speak, Felicia, I see you come on from you. For somebody who said this monster did all these horrific things to her that she did not want to do, when Alex came along, she was able to run off into the sunset with Alex. And when Kim Porter passed away, she came back to the monster to make sure all was well. Felicia, before I close out, yes? Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Diva. I said about 10 days ago that I was going to remind some of my co-panelists about their commentaries on Michelle, the ex-girlfriend of Shannon Sharp.
Come on, talk to the people.
10-year relationship. He did a lot of, according to her, choking, beating, sexual assaulting. And she just didn't know why she wouldn't leave. She thought there was love there. There was a relationship. But they were dating other people. And let's be clear, Miss Ventura today said they were dating other people.
You better talk to the people, Felicia.
They weren't monogamous, not at all. And that was understood, okay? But Michelle didn't get much grace. She didn't get any empathy. So I guess it's who's receiving the choking and the beatdown and who is not.
Mm-hmm.
None of you really know me, but I want you to know that I am consistent and I am fair. I'm not rushing in on anybody's emotion. 10 years is a long time. Now, if Sean worked at the Popeyes around the corner, I don't think she would have endured 10 years of that kind of brutality.
You better talk.
I really don't.
Mm-hmm.
He could look just like him, because where I live, there are people who look like Sean Combs.
You talk to the people.
She might have went there to get an order, and he probably said, hey, how you doing? And over the years, couple of years, he kept saying hello, and I'm absolutely confident she wouldn't have even went back to that Popeyes after a while.
Come on.
But she kept going back. And that's where I'm stuck.
Mm-hmm.
The security guard said, hey, I went up there and I pinned Mr. Combs to the wall.
To the wall.
And I said, you want me to call the police? She said, no, don't do that. I want to remind everyone again, to this very moment, she has never filed a police complaint report. She said she was isolated and alone. I remind you, her dear friend took hangers to the head and a beat down from her boyfriend. So this statement of no one there to help her. No, there were people there who probably reached out and said, you know, you can do better. No, I'm good. I love him. Oh, well, she didn't know what love looked like. Well, then go talk to her mother and father. Go talk to the people who educated her. I don't know where she was, that she didn't know that what she was enduring, what she shared today, was dark and dangerous and sadistic. I listened to her via the transcripts. She would be with him tomorrow if she could. Yeah, she's got a lot of work to do. All of us do. But I want us to be fair across the board.
Mm-hmm.
Not so-and-so can get choked out and beat up, and I think she's a this, and a that. But someone who's in this industry, and let's remember, she came from Abercrombie and Fitch, who was part of this industry, bringing in these males, having them come into these rooms and be abused. Yeah. So tomorrow, hopefully we can get through all of these escapades and we can get to the RICO and the money laundering and all of that other good stuff. Because the story that you did about this mother in the Bronx, I thought you read to us that she's getting 15 years, which I think is just not enough.
Manslaughter. She pleaded to manslaughter. And I'm not quite sure how the son walked away from this.
Maybe the mother was part of the reason why he was abusive to his sister. That's the only thing I can come to think of. But I'm thinking about 15 years and you took this princess's life and you didn't have to. You had people come to the door, the grandmother's there, the father's there, they want this child. And you did it. And You don't want to get sentenced. You don't want to hear the impact. And they're saying 15 years. But if I'm not mistaken, ex-trafficking, you can get 15 years for one person who possibly was truly in love with you and never wanted it to come to this. I don't think anybody cares about Miss Ventura and what she had to go up there and say. But for $30 million, that's what you do. And to stay free on the street so you can be with your children, that's what you do. I'm done.
Woo! This is a lot. Yeah, they're supposed to watch the freak off tape tomorrow, and they're also saying, but again, I'm not quite sure what this freak off tape is going to show us and why we need to see it. When I see we, I mean the jury. I don't know. I just think it's a lot. And now the judge is considering letting the public of the media see it. For what? For what?
And Diva, that was her worst fear, right?
Yep.
Allegedly, he was holding it over her head. So now it goes global.
That part. She got daughters.
Her daughters.
For what?
For what?
Why do we need to see this?
We don't
need to see it because the sex worker, even though he don't call himself a sex worker, whatever he was, listen, everybody in this situation got some confusion to them. Because if you're following this, I'm going to call him a sex worker. He himself said he felt like he built a relationship with Cassie.
Mm-hmm. He cared about her.
He cared about Cassie.
And she ran to him when she was getting beaten up in another room, allegedly. And he saw her out on the street one day. And she didn't even acknowledge him. Mm-hmm. There's a lot here. There's a lot here.
There's a lot here. But I'm 10 toes down. There's no reason why this video needs to be shown.
Nope, we don't need to see it. We got enough trash and slime and dark and hate on the street. We don't need to see it. We don't need it to get to be leaked by anybody. We don't need anybody making no money selling it, because we know once these things is public, they are public. They're on these systems. Somebody has to upload it and run it for all the monitors for the jurors.
And just like that security guard took his iPhone.
Yep.
And filmed something so he could go show his wife, because his wife wouldn't have believed without the footage, allegedly. So your own wife doesn't trust you. He's a liar. That's the other thing I want to say too. Everybody's lying. Your wife. Husband and wife who don't trust their husband or their wife and they still want them. You're a fool. So to get proof to your wife, not the cops, your wife. And if you had this on your phone all this time, you never went to the cops either. And you want me to believe that you didn't take a bribe? To me, miss me with the nonsense.
He took that money. He ain't finna sit up and say he took that money because he a police officer now. Like I was telling Felicia, and people would think what type of police officer he is. There's no way that man did not take that money. And he said he seen $100 bills just stacked up there. And you seen this man doing this to this woman, and you didn't call the police. You didn't call the police because you took that money. So he can just miss me with that one. Sorry.
Miss me too with it. But the sad part about it is there are so many, and they want to slap us upside the head with this 17-year age gap. All right, what's the man Bill Belichick? I mean, what's the age gap between him and that girl he's with now? They're giving a lot of distraction techniques, but because you already have people out here that have their verdict in their head already on what they feel he should and shouldn't do. Let's be clear. His lifestyle is probably not the lifestyle of many. But are we trying to lock him away for 30, 40 years or his life for his lifestyle? Or is because we have some RICO charges? I heard her testimony, well, from the transcripts or whatever. Not one time did she say the AR-15 was in the room. But they keep telling us about this AR-15s that he had. Not once did I hear her say, she said, I took ecstasy, I took this to stay awake for these freak-offs that I wanted to do to make him happy. Then on the tail end, she says she felt, threatened because he did beat her, kick her, whatever, and she didn't do it. The testimony is loaded. I don't know how their first witness helped Cassie or their case, to be honest with you, because this man was 10 toes down that he wanted to be there. So he told some truths. He said because of who they were, he wanted to be there. He cared about Cassie, and every time she called him, he came back, and he would have did it for free.
I was going to add that, Diva, and he said he would do it for free because he felt that they had built a friendship until she saw him outside and she didn't acknowledge him
at all.
But I'm saying she shouldn't have did the freak offs because she said he beat her if she didn't do it. But y'all forgot that she said that what the guy said after the freak off, he heard him in the room. He was beating her then. So whether you did it or not, you still were going to get the beat down. So I wouldn't have did it. Because after the freak off, you still got the beat down. So make that make sense. Because the guy said he heard him after the freak off, he heard him in there that he was getting slapped around up in the room.
You talking facts there. He did say that.
Yeah, so regardless of the fact, if she didn't do it, she was going to get the beat down. So if she did do it, she was going to get the beat down. So, girl, I wouldn't have did it. You was going to beat me anyway. So what's the difference? No, ma'am.
Well, if you remember, when she said that part in her testimony, she said something to the effect that he would say, well, he'll just go get somebody else. And she didn't want him to go get someone else.
She wanted to be the one. I do believe in her mind, because a lot of people that are in these such situations, they do feel that they are in love with these people. Listen, I didn't realize I was in overtime the way I'm in overtime. This is great conversations. Tomorrow I will come on earlier because we're going to continue to talk about this trial. It's a lot, it's loaded, and it's sad. It really is.
And don't forget this part. I know you say you got to go. She said that she witnessed him when they was doing a freak off. Somebody knocked on the door and told them the Suge Knight was down the hall or down the street or wherever he was at. And she said that they got Puff Daddy and D-Rock, whoever that boy is, got all dressed in black, got the pow-pows, and went looking for Suge Knight. So now you saying that you witnessed him going out there to commit a M. This, I hope, like I said, I hope she got immunity, because baby girl, you setting yourself up to a lot of stuff.
She wouldn't be sitting up there talking like that if she didn't. Yeah. But she's going to get cross-examined tomorrow, so we're going to see how this goes. Felicia, last word. I'm about to close out.
No, I'm done for tonight.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, guys, listen. Y'all know the routine. If you didn't hit that like button on the way, and Raheem, you ain't never lied, and it's only day 2. Listen, if y'all didn't hit that like button on the way in, hit the like button on the way out. Good night and goodbye, everybody.